concrete is enough as almost 2 meters of normal concrete. Incredibly tough bunkers where the Iraqi divisions could sit it out forever. I mean, Iraq was heavily armed to the teeth. However, the thing that they did not calculate well was they did not expect them to chicken out that fast. They basically surrendered without much shooting, without any shooting. They expected the Iraqis to give a decent several months of fight. Another example of the Illuminati secretly arming both sides in a conflict. I mean, all these stories that I've heard about German ball bearings used for American fighter planes. They would grind off the swastika stamp on the side of the ball bearing and install it in the American fighter plane on bomber that's going to bomb Germany. Or high-grade American, high-octane aviation kerosene shipped by Standard Oil in American ships with German crews straight to Germany. Or the British Queen getting royalty fees from every German Luftwaffe bomber that was bombing London, because they had the patent rights on the ethanol additive to the high-octane bomber fuel. The Germans didn't have very good gasoline, so they were putting ethanol to raise the octane. So for every Luftwaffe bomber that was flying over London, the British royal family was getting royalty fees. This is a story I heard from England. I mean, the wars that we fight at the trench level, these are life and death struggles for survival, where people really fight to kill. If you go to a higher level of the bankers and the industrialists, I mean, they fight the war in order to make money and to sell more guns to both sides and to sell more armaments, to give more armament loans, and to load the credit cards of the governments more. From an even higher level of the Illuminati that run the planet, a war is done for completely different purposes. It's done to reduce the population, because very high on the Illuminati agenda is to lower the population to about, from 2 billion to about 500 million, to about 500 million, depending on the source of the information. I wouldn't be amazed that for the next Middle East war, it would be the Wackenhut Corporation that would provide the uranium enrichment facilities and the nuclear bomb capabilities for Iraq, if they have not done that already. Corporations like this one would be the key players in the future Middle East war. Anyway, back to the German saucers. German engineers built saucers for Franco. Some of them built a saucer for the Sultan of Morocco to take his harem on weekend flights, probably. Some of them escaped to Brazil and built saucers there for themselves or for the German colonies in Brazil and especially Argentina. The Russians captured a lot of German technology, and all these ghost rockets over Scandinavia in 46, 47 were German resuscitated technology that was run by the Russians. Here we have a brilliant article from the Saarbrücker Zeitung about the German saucer that crashed in northern Norway, in Spitzberg, a saucer that had its dashboard written with Cyrillic letters, that could fly to 160 kilometers altitude, which is 1.5 times the altitude of the space flights, the orbital flights of the Vostoks, the Voschots, the Geminis, and so on. And that could fly 30,000 miles, which is 3/4 around the globe. A saucer, about 50-meter diameter, with 46 jet engines on the periphery, spinning a silvery disc with a plexiglass cupola. The saucer crashed, probably another one came and picked up the crew, or it was an unmanned craft. This crash has been viciously debunked by American ufologists as an alien crash. And their line is that, well, actually these were aliens, but they didn't want to say that these were aliens, so they explained it away as a Russian saucer crash. The fact that the Russians have saucers is more dangerous to them than the fact that aliens crash their saucers on the planet. They want to cover this up at all costs. Advanced aerial devices were reported in large numbers in the Korean War. Obviously, both sides tested their saucers on the planes of the other side. What Kenneth Arnold saw in 1947, when the word the flying saucer came into usage, were saucers that were assembled in the secret British saucer city in northwestern Canada. According to Renato Vesco, the Italian Werner von Braun, in his documentary book Intercept But Don't Shoot, piles and piles, giant pyramids of figuratively speaking, the information was dug out of the German underground bunkers. 9 kilometers of train load of boxcars from one facility alone, 16 kilometers from another facility. And he mentions that there were about 300 underground facilities in Germany at the time the war ended. You can count the boxcars that way. They were hauling boxcars for 2-3 years after the war. Imagine the number of people that were needed to just go through this information. All of these were crated in unmarked crates and shipped by ship through northwestern Canada, where a specially built giant city for 50,000 people was built in the wilderness. Renato Vesco cites Canadian papers about the railroads, the road system, the waterworks, and everything that was built for that city. And the first German craft started flying in 46-47. This is what Kenneth Arnold quite probably saw. And Captain Mantell was not as happy with his plane. He probably came too close and saw the pilots wearing the same G suit inside as he was wearing, and that's why he was blasted clean out of the sky.
This city that was built in Canada, can you give us an idea where it was near?
Northwestern Canada. It's in the book Intercept But Don't Shoot. I can give you a call tomorrow. It's at home. It gives the locations, the name, the everything. John Searle built electrostatically powered flying craft for the British Royal Air Force. And on this photograph we see that this is a giant craft, that this are the command control panels here, and a table with a chair in front. This is not a small model. Nobody would put that detailed control panels in a model. This was probably a photograph of them building the real big craft based on that model, on this successfully tested flying model.
So what do you do with
That's
that?
1950s.
What did they do with it?
Go fishing, go bear hunting in the Arctic. We'll talk about it in a minute. These are photographs of John Searle testing his electrostatically powered craft. These are probably turbojet craft. A very bad quality photograph that I enlarge, and you can see the openings here, the exhaust openings that probably spin the outside of the craft. It looks like the Avro car. If this is the Avro car, then nothing more spinning other than centrally placed fan. And these are just the exhaust jets for venting air. A lot of patents were very much similar to the German design. Here we have a massive turbine, gas turbine, very similar to the German one, only the intake is from the front and the exhaust is on the back only, in order to give a more powerful forward thrust. This is a turbojet powered craft because I see the air intakes of the turbojet engines here, the 2 turbojet engines. These are the exhausts. The rocket powered German craft did not have any air intakes here. And these are very important slits here. What I think happens is this outermost ring, which we can see here somewhat, everything beyond that ring spins, including these additional turbines here that are camouflaged, that are covered under these hatches. And the exhaust of these turbines comes at this particular place. We see that one cutout thing next to each turbine. And the thing is that they are asymmetrical. They go inside like this, and then they come radially, which means that probably the exhaust gets